What's up and welcome to B. Taylor Outdoors. I'm Ben. So today is part 2 of how to pass a AKC Master Test. Bob and Blaine are still helping us out. I'm going to link all of their information down below in the description so you'll be able to follow them. So hopefully y'all enjoy these videos. Hopefully you learn something from them. And if you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe to my channel, please. Hit that thumbs up button for me. It'll help us out and get the word out and let everybody else know. So let's go ahead and get into the video.
All right, we'll restart. You go.
I don't care.
No, you're up.
All right, we are here at Fall Line Retriever Club. Just finished up a fun weekend.
Yep.
You're seeing the videos of the second and third series. We got pretty busy and couldn't stop to do a video during the test, but we're going to recap kind of what was going on in both series and what they were asking the dogs to do, and walk through the difficulties of the test and how to do it, how to pass it, how to run it.
Absolutely.
So our second series, I'll explain it and I'll let Bob do the third. But the second series was a land-water triple, and it was a walk-up. So in AKC, for those that don't run the AKC test, your walk-up bird is part of your marking test. And so we came out of a holding blind, walking towards the pond. The first bird came out directly in front of us, thrown right to left. After that bird, we had a big swing back over to our right. Gosh, 120 degree swing back over here. A bird was thrown up the hill left to right, or really it was more of a flat throw left to right. And then our go bird was another of the dreaded angle in throws. I don't like one in a weekend, but we had two. It was angled straight at us with water behind us, which proved to be difficult for a couple of my dogs. Not in a bad way. The dogs are taught to stay in the water, and that's what they did. And so we had to burn a handle on that a couple of times. We'll get into that in a minute, but pick it up, pick the other two birds up, and we ran a water blind backside of the walk-up bird gun. And so, typical land water.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad. I would say the go bird posed the most difficulty, because the dogs that were doing the most right, they would get in and they'd hold their line in the water versus get out early and run and pick that bird up. So if they did that, if they stayed in the water, they'd be on the wrong side of the wind, and dogs would keep rolling and go past it. And if they would get out and kind of hunt back, that was good. Some of them did, some of them didn't.
Well, I think the biggest problem for the mark, and this isn't a bashing the mark or the test, it's just something you have to teach and train for. But when you have a holding blind deeper than where the mark is, and the dog is swimming down the shore, they don't want to get out because they've been taught to get out at the bird, and they're thinking in their minds, there's no way that bird came straight towards me, because from their perspective, it's hard to tell that the bird's not angled over a little bit. And so, they're trying to be good dogs, stay in the water, and you like to see that effort. And, the gutless dogs would get out and go over there and pick it up clean. My best dogs, I had to handle them. I had to handle my 3 best dogs handled on that mark. Now, they picked up the rest of the test fine, so it wasn't a big deal, but you hate burning a handle on the go bird.
Exactly. One of the things that we were thinking about as we're preparing for a master test and to successfully complete and win the day is line manners and obedience going from the line, from the holding blind to the line. And it's most crucial at your walk-up bird. And so if you have a dog that gets out in front of you or is uncontrollable, bouncing in and out of heel, going to the line, your walk-up bird's going to pose a threat. The dog will hopefully see it, hopefully sit, but now he's a little bit loose, he's out in front of you.
And they tell you, we're going to call for the bird when either you or your dog gets to this ribbon. We don't care if it's the dog beats you to it, we're calling for the bird.
That's right.
And so now you're not even by their side, you've got less control over the dog sitting. You get one opportunity to either say sit or blow the whistle. Do it twice, you're out.
And so that the line manners to pass a master test are imperative. Have good control with your dog, have discipline, have structure, and have an understanding between how we move to go and attack this test. And if you do that, then your walk-up bird is typically no big deal. But if you have an uncontrollable dog in the holding blind and from the holding blind to the line, man, you're halfway up the creek without a paddle.
Yeah.
So that was kind of that test. The blind really wasn't too difficult.
No.
It didn't get many dogs, if any.
No.
But you want to make sure, like I would say again, thoughts on passing a successful master test. Your dog has to sit on a whistle crisp. If you've got a big loopy sit or a dog that kind of goes into hunt mode on its own, the judges aren't going to want to see that. They need to see a dog that's under control and works as a team, and you hold a line. So a lot of times we'll hear them say things like, challenge the blind, challenge the line to the blind.
Right. If you're not on line, they want to see you make progression back to the line to the blind.
That's right.
Simple.
And so if you have a dog that has big loopy sits and doesn't take casts as well as they should, you're going to get dropped. Cast refusals, whistle refusals,
right,
are getting little nicks every time on your blinds.
And don't be afraid to blow your whistle. Judges aren't, a lot of people think the more whistles you blow, the worse you are. That's not necessarily true. I told the judges this when they saw me do it. I lined Jude up offline on purpose. I've never, this first test the dog's ever run. He lined the 2 blinds in the first series. I wanted to see the dog handle a little bit in a test. I didn't need the pass. I know it sounds strange, but I lined him left 5 to 10 yards to see if I can get a cast off of that holding blind, off of those decoys. If I lined him up right, it would have been easier. But I lined him up a little left, and you blew my whistles, got my cast, and the judge said good blind because I had control of my dog. I put him back online, and we finished the blind. So don't be afraid. And I'll say one more thing about this test, that I talked to a lady, an amateur lady was running her dog, and the dog was struggling, but she stuck with the dog.
Yeah.
She fought and fought to do everything she could to not give up on the dog, and she ended up having a good test after the first mistake the dog made because she stuck with it. And I was in the holding blind behind her, and I was proud of her for sticking with it and not giving up on your dog. Don't give up on your dog. Understand that there's times where you're going to have to help that dog get through this test.
That's right.
It's a team game, and I told her when she finished the honor, I said, great job not giving up on your dog. And she came up later and thanked me, but it's cool to see that. And you got to know that. Don't just think, oh my gosh, my dog, because her dog did something really dumb. Right. But she didn't panic. She fought through it. The dog finished the rest of the test, pretty good. And so you get through it. So work with your dog, know your dog, and get it done.
Absolutely. And the last piece of that second series was the honor. So your dog had to move off to the side, watch another dog do the job, and get released. So that was the second series. Yep. Let's jump into the third series. So we moved locations to a different pond. The first bird, you come out of the holding blind, walk to the line. First bird came out from
nowhere. They couldn't see anything. There's no holding blind. There was nothing.
Yeah, it was like
hidden behind a big mound.
That's right. It was behind a big mound. Kind of angled in again.
Thrown right in.
Thrown right in over the mound and landed at the base of the mound. The second bird was a watermark, and it kind of got flown over a point and landed on the back side of the point. So your dog had to take an angle into the water, get out on a point, and boop, there's your duck. And then out of nowhere, a worm burner of a mark came out.
Hand thrown real low to the ground.
Hand thrown with a big boom.
At maybe 8 yards.
What's that?
6 yards, 8 yards.
Yeah. And so they would call that or consider that a wipeout bird. Kind of monkeys with their memory, and it gets them all jacked up, and it's 100% a breaking bird.
And and it was 100% in line to the first bird out.
That's true.
So the dog picks it up, and we can talk about I did the test a lot different than most people. I made all of my dogs pick up the long right bird directly after the wipeout bird, because the judges were trying to, we call it a wipeout bird because they're throwing a bird that is, in the judge's mind, could erase the memory of that other bird that's right behind it.
Correct.
And so in my mind, I thought, you know what? My dogs are all good in the water. They're going to go find that bird in the water. I'm going to see if, when they come back from the first bird, see if I can poke them right back up there before their memory, you know, they still got it, it's still fresh.
It's still fresh.
It's fresh in their memory, and they all did it that way and all did good with it. So, you know, it worked for me. Bob, I think, picked up the water bird second, and most people did, and it worked fine for Bob's dogs. And it was just the way I strategized it and went after it. And,
yeah, I don't think there was a right or wrong way to hit that. The other thing we'll touch on in a master test, they need to do a diversion shot or a diversion bird somewhere in your test, and so that's where we saw it. They'd go get that wipeout short breaking bird. As they grab the bird, the guy right there's got the boom gun juiced up. 1, 2, 3, kaboom, baby. And it was a massive boom, distracted a few dogs, and in fact some dogs
went that direction
when they were sent for the next bird.
Right.
And so it got a few dogs, but typically it's not that big a deal. They'll either do a diversion shot or a diversion bird. Diversion bird would be that gentleman, you know, let's say they come back from the watermark and they'd throw
bird out.
They'd boom and throw another duck out.
And they're testing the dog not switching.
Correct.
Switching
Your dog
ducks.
has to hang on to the duck that they retrieved, see that bird fall, keep coming to you, give it to you, then go pick that bird up. So you could see either at a master test, but I'd say 90% of the time you're just getting a diversion shot.
That's right.
No blinds. It was just a straight
That's all
up
we had
triple.
to do was the triple and the shot.
And the big thing for me in that test, it was sitting still during that big wipeout breaking bird.
Yeah, when a bird just comes out of nowhere, and there wasn't a shot first. They threw the bird, and right when it hit the ground,
boom,
boom.
Yeah.
And so the dogs catch that bird because they're locked in on that water.
Yeah.
And you can't say here. They're locked in, and all of a sudden they catch out of the glimpse of the eye this bird just falling right in front of them.
Yeah, and that's another important piece. You can't talk to the dog. So at AKC tests, you walk your dog to the line. When you're ready, you tell the judges you're ready, you're done. You cannot speak to the dog again. And so if that dog makes forward progress to the bird and goes to break, you can't
say
stop.
sit.
Yeah, you can't say sit, you can't say here, nothing.
Yeah, and you can in senior. They call it a control break.
Correct.
In master, there's no control breaks allowed. Now, once the bird hits the ground, the judges are going to count 2 or 3, whatever, how long they're going to count. They're then going to call your dog number, or sometimes they just say dog. Once that happens, you're free to speak and do whatever you need to do to line your dog up and handle your dog.
Typically, when it depends on the dog, but I would say for me, 90% of the time, when judges release me, I don't say the dog's name. I'm going to give them a sit. I'm going to assess the situation. I'm 100% like a dog like Quinn and Hunter, who are jacked up and ready to go. I'm going to take my time. I'm going to let them be patient.
Right.
And that's going to be a key to your success at passing master tests, is don't get in a rush. Line your dog up properly. Take your time taking the birds from the dog, and you know, you'll see it all the time. Someone will scoop the birds up, go to right there back, or say their name.
Right.
And all of a sudden the dog's not even lined up, and it kicks off and is rolling, and it's 20 yards offline on the wrong side of the wind. Take your time, the line is yours, and be patient with the dog. Get them lined up, looking out. Let their memory come back and be like, oh yeah, right near that hay bale.
Right.
In the first series, it was most crucial because of all the hay bales. Take your time, line them up, good. Convince them that they're looking in the right place. If they're not, work with them a little bit. Send them.
Yep.
But just be patient.
Take your time.
Take your time.
I always wait. I don't always say sit, but I'm going to wait, I'm going to look and make sure, because even on the go bird, maybe the dog didn't reposition itself to be straight looking at it. Maybe they're looking still at that water bird and their head's like this, and they look at the next bird.
Right.
I'm going to, once they call my dog, I'm going to say here, and I'm going to line them up.
That's right.
Go. Or I'm going to just make sure, is Kenny looking at that duck?
That's right.
Is his body aligned right? Give him a second or two, because then you also just don't want to send this the moment they release you, so your dog doesn't start
anticipating.
Yeah, so
dog
wait.
Means go.
And I've waited for a couple dogs. Magic, he's crouched down on that wipeout bird, looks like a leopard about to pounce.
Right.
They called his number. I waited for just a couple seconds.
I did the same with Hunter.
Because it's not if the dog left, you're not out. As long as they've called your number, the dog can leave. You don't have to say its name. You don't say back. It's not a break once they've released you. And so they can't just, determine whether or not
I said it quietly or
yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
And so, or, I send my dog on, 51. whatever.
Yeah.
But as long as they've said it, then the dog is free to go. But I'm going to
Absolutely.
wait, make sure, because I don't want magic. You know, we got to run another test Tuesday.
Sure. So let's recap real quick on the success of passing a master test. Good obedience, good discipline, good structure on your holding blind and line manners. Imperative.
Right.
Good, clean, crisp whistle sits and casting. If the dog doesn't work with you running that blind, you're gonna have a real difficult time when they don't have a collar on.
Right.
Take your time and be patient lining the dog up for your memory birds.
Yep.
The test is yours. Take a deep breath. Nerves are big. If you're real nervous and antsy and excited, the dog's gonna feel that. So try and take that deep breath, fake it till you make it, and don't let that dog know that you're nervous.
That's it.
And that's kind of it. Go have fun, get them ready.
Get you an orange ribbon.
Get you an orange ribbon. We appreciate you tuning in. Again, Blaine, Tarnecki, Hudson River Retrievers, and you can find them on patreon.com/Brown Dog Academy. I'm Bob Owens from Lone Duck Outfitters, and you can find us on Patreon/Lone Duck Outfitters and anywhere, Instagram, Facebook, and whatever. And we're happy to help. We appreciate you tuning in. Hopefully this video helped you attack your next first or a bunch of master tests if you've ran them and get you successful. So thank you for tuning in.
Thank y'all for watching. If you enjoyed the video, hit that thumbs up button for me. If you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Helps me out. Hopefully you'll learn some more stuff because I'm going to try to do some more educational type stuff. So again, thank you for watching. And don't forget, their season never ends.